In this video, I'm going to be talking about my new favorite photo editing software. It's Luminar Neo. Luminar Neo. Luminar Neo. I don't know how to deliver that. Anyway, Skylum was so kind and reached out to me about trying their software Luminar Neo and giving my honest opinion and feedback and making a video about it. I was super excited to give this a try, see what I thought, and I gotta say, I have really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to show y'all some of my favorite things about Luminar. And then if you stick to the end, I'll kind of share why I think it's just the best software out there. And additionally, if you go to the link in the description below, you can use my code Aaron10 for 10% off of Luminar Neo. And so yeah, let's hop on over to the computer and get to work on some photos.
Okay, we are going to start with some HDR photos. And you would think HDR Merge means that you need more than one photo. Typically, how you approach HDR photos would be you have one underexposed, you have one at like 0 EV, and then you have one overexposed, and then you know, the software takes the highlights from the underexposed one and the shadows from the overexposed one, and then merges them together and boom, makes this great looking photo. I'm not the biggest fan of like the overly HDR look, and I don't bring a tripod with me on trips, so this is kind of the best of both worlds. Take one photo, super easy, and then you drop it into HDR Merge here. You click merge. It works up some magic, and here we go. Already mind-blowing that this looks this good with no work on your part. You just take one raw photo and boom.
So my next step typically for something like this is just bring some contrast back in. I know it's called smart contrast. I have noticed it like handles contrast so much better than other softwares that I've used. I really just kind of crank that contrast back up. It's like a before and after the contrast. And I mean, we are in a really good spot right now. The next thing that I typically like to do, we'll just finish this photo real quick. I really like the glow feature. It's subtle, but to me, it just kind of brings in this, well, it adds a little more contrast still, but it also just brings a little bit of character and blooming to the highlights. And I'm kind of a film nut, and so I also like to add a little bit of grain. And it's fun to compare this to a film photo that I took out here. So if you want to see where we went from here to here, that's crazy. You saw what I did. It was barely any work to go from here to here. Now we're gonna move on to some headshots. I have this one photo here that we have some unsightly trash cans. And typically what you have to do with some other softwares is go from one software to the other to do a clone stamp. Well, my favorite thing here is I can do it all within this software, and I'm not gonna do a good job here. I'm just giving y'all an example, but I'm able to use the clone stamp in the software that I'm editing the photo in. And I don't have to, you know, bounce between softwares, create different versions. It's all here and in these edits as well, which that's another cool thing that I didn't even mention yet, is you can see every edit that you did in this tab here, which I think is really cool because you can actually go back and kind of revisit them too. So big fan of that. Okay, moving on. Kind of play with these photos here where I really liked these photos. I edited them and delivered them a while ago, but I'm revisiting this because there's just some really cool AI tools that can make these photos even better. And so if we were to start with just a basic great. And this enhanced AI does a really good job. And if you see, it actually wants to bring in, you know, some color back into the sky, and it does a great job there. We're actually going to avoid this because of one of the techniques that we're going to use. We'll just get our basic grade kind of on point. And yeah, I'm liking where we're at. But like I said, the sky is completely gone, just because of how this photo was shot. She was backlit by the sun. So what we can do here is we can use Sky AI, which is just a really cool software. So really what you want to do is find the right sky. This was obviously sunset, and then this one looks like it'll probably translate. Actually, let's try this one. Let's see how it translates. So you gotta give it a second to analyze the photo and add that sky. And there we are. I feel like the sun is maybe too far. So let's try this one. Okay, this one is looking better. So let's move the sky, because obviously the sun is, you know, over here based off of how it's lighting her. So my first thought is like, okay, the sky's far too dark here. What we can do here is sky adjustments, and we can kind of bring some brightness back into the sky and the image overall. And one cool thing that I think sells this look is atmospheric haze. And so what this does is this just, I mean, if you're backlit here, it's going to be kind of hazy naturally, right? Because so much light is going into your camera. Well, this to me is starting to really sell the look here, look realistic, but look really good. So what we can also do, and what I think is necessary actually, is we can defocus this background, because obviously like this was compressed back here. Well, the sky should be too. And so we're going to defocus it quite a bit. And I think this look is really sold. The last thing that I'm going to do, and this is also another thing that's really cool here, is Face AI. And what Face AI can do is mask the face, and really it can be copied over to all the other photos. And I'll show you that in just a second. But for now, all I have to do is pull this slider up, and it knows where her face is immediately and brings light back into her face as if I had a reflector here. Now, could all of this been done with like a reflector and lighting her face properly? Yes, but I didn't have an assistant. This was just me shooting the photos here. And now I'm able to do this with AI, which is really cool. So this is without the mask. This is with, and that was super easy. And I think this photo turned out great with mostly AI. Like there wasn't much that I had to do. I didn't have to mask things. It knew where everything was, and it nailed it too. Like if you go to her veil, like it somehow knew exactly where to cut the sky and everything. The last thing that I'm going to show y'all, which I think just makes editing super easy and enjoyable, is the syncing features. And so if we were to highlight all of these photos, what we did was we added a really nice sky that I think is believable. And we also lit her face with that relight tool. I were to mask the photo here and then paste it over here, well, then it would, you know, be in a weird spot. Or especially like this one would be like over here. Well, watch what happens when we say adjustments, sync adjustments. You gotta let the computer think for a little bit, but we're gonna see some magic happen. It's doing a lot of work, so. Okay, we're already seeing one. And what's really cool, y'all, is like, obviously it relit her face, but the sun, when it's cut off here, it's cropped here because it's portrait. It's over here. And then this one, you know, because it's a little more wide. And so I think this is a pretty believable look. Obviously, don't go overboard with replacing skies on everything and making them look kind of crazy. But what you're able to see here is that it pastes and syncs perfectly. Her face is masked perfectly in all of these by me literally just syncing them, and that's it. Where traditionally you had to mask her face individually on each photo just to relight her face. Obviously, you saw some really cool, unique things that Luminar is capable of doing. It really takes a lot of the legwork out of photo editing, and then also just makes it really easy to batch edit certain things. And the AI features are so stand out. And all of those are reasons that I just think Luminar is really cool, and just Luminar Neo is such a cool software. Lastly, I'm just a huge fan of how Luminar approaches their subscription model. You can pay monthly, yearly, or you can buy a perpetual lifetime license. The choice is yours. And so when it's very popular right now for most companies to only be offering monthly or yearly subscriptions, you can now purchase the whole license, and whatever you are using right now can be yours forever. And then if they came out with other things, you can purchase those standalone, plugins or whatever, which is just a really cool business model in my opinion. I'm a big fan of that. Do follow the link in the description, check it out, and use code Aaron10 if you do decide to purchase this. You will get 10% off. Thank you, Skylum, for sharing the software with me and allowing my viewers to see how I use it and everything. So I will have more content about Luminar specifically coming out soon, so stay tuned, and I look forward to catching you on the next one.